Hello, everyone. Greetings. And let's see who joins me for any questions, self-discovery, contemplation. Waiting for someone to join me here. This is for self-discovery too. Who are we? Who are we? Sorry for the background sound if you can hear it. There's some work going on. Over the skies and under the oceans, I fly like an eagle and sing like a nightingale, as happy as I can be, but I don't know the reason. You are most welcome for self-discovery, contemplation. Let's see if we can ask the right questions. Let's discover together. Let's join so that we can make a better world. We can find out about ourselves, why we should start with the self first. Let's see if there are any comments here. Please feel free to comment, join. I'm waiting. Sorry, I cannot give prior notice. So, about my coming live. And if no one joins, then I'll start with my own contemplation about life, living, fear. What is this fear? I hope the background sound is not bothering you. If I put this, just checking, if I put this video, would I also put this, would I also go checking? Oh, I can put this video on silence. Yes. So, sorry if there's an echo. Self-discovery. Who am I? So I'm going to start from scratch. Nothing. and what has made me something. I've realized that I'm this body, and I have life, and I have thoughts, and I have feelings. And how long will it last? That there is death. So, what is that thing inside of me when I start from nothing? What is this? Searching. I realized that love is more than life. The end in time, welcome your eternal self. So if I'm not, let me, time and again I will be checking if anyone, no one has joined here. Anyway, so I'll begin with self-contemplation. I see that I have fears. Who am I? Where do these thoughts come from? India has been rich in spirituality. What am I seeking? Just adjusting my mic, sorry. Why am I seeking? Why am I needy? Why am I wanting? Who am I? Am I just a human being or beyond that? So this is what the questions have arose from where? Space and time. Time and tide wait for nobody. Time and tide waits forever. Lonely nights of love in you. And there will be tears. Bee Gees. So who am I? And what would make me a good person? Religion has failed. Discipline has failed with me. So what will, when everything has failed, what doesn't fail? The being still. So I got some information from the Bible also, from Franz Kafka. Be still and know I am God. Franz Kafka, I think it was, who said that when you are still, the whole world rolls down at your feet, comes rolling down at your feet. So seeking, what is the mind? Are we just seekers, or can we find something? The eternal truth, universal truth. And so I had to observe the mind, the thoughts. What is this? That I had to go through Descartes. Um, is it the thoughts? The thoughts may make us, and then someone can break us, right? Then who, if someone can break us and the thoughts make us, is there anything eternal? Or we just are here to make ourselves and break ourselves? Sometimes self-destruction, death comes, diseases. So searching like this until I found my true being, this eternal, this which is here, which doesn't make us, but it is. So what is this pure awareness? Then I got help from Muji Baba on Facebook. Muji. I realized, he made me realize what I've found is the greatest in the kingdom of what human beings, he says, right? Something like this. And now even I found Dr. Goswami on quantum physics and all this. So atheists are welcome. Please help me. Questions are going to really help me. Sharing my self-discovery. But if you join me, it's going to really help me. If you have any questions, please shoot at me. What is fear? Now, I was on fear on Facebook because I realized that even my principal, she had this fear that if the teachers gave her too much attention, she will develop this kind of, it will get into her head, right? My principal in St. Joseph's College. So I was a photographer, official photographer of St. Joseph's College in 19 from 1989, September 27th until 1993, but forgotten the month that when I left college. So we didn't get a farewell also because our principal also had to leave. Her extension, her second extension was cancelled because of change in the government in Karachi, Pakistan. Look at the fears. If you give me too much attention, I will start to think something of myself. This thing will, so I captured that. Also what she said she was saying to the teachers as they were walking, they were now on this, which floor where the teachers' lounge is. They had invited her to the teachers' lounge, otherwise she was mostly in her office on the first floor. So you see, capturing that too about my great principal, and I love talking about her. Badnaam kar diya. I've even made her very, very notorious on Facebook pages. My mummy makes life so funny. I miss my mummy so much. God, I told you I shouldn't be missing anyone. Again, you did this to me. So blame it on the rain or blame it on God, right? Where are we now? So Taj Mahal and all this. Okay, so now I cannot do multitasking. Um, so what is this fear? Fear all the time. So I reached on Facebook, my page, that, oh, since we are protecting things and ourselves, fear comes from that. We are something or someone, but if we knew, really knew, realized that we are nothing and yet the eternal self living, all ever living. What is the fear? Some people, like they have the identity crisis, all these psychological problems. All these will go once you realize you are the eternal self. No one can tell you this. Only they can point, like Mujiji has pointed, to your eternal self. All fears will go. Personality will go, so you won't have a personal crisis, uh, identity crisis, and things like that. If we just know that we are nothing, we see it. It's a knowing, it's self-discovery. It's not a knowing, it's a seeing, because it is self-aware. You see? So it's not a knowing. Knowledge you will find here in the material realm. That's why scientists are having such a hard time finding evidence for this self-awareness. The thing is, we have been misguided. We haven't been shown properly. Now they have come, these masters, great masters, greatest in our time now, to point to us, like Mujiji, Rupert Spira, even the scientist. Oh my God, he looks so much like, anyways, what's his name? Sir Peter Russell. If you just go through his videos, he's an underrated spiritual master. Someone commented there, and I agree to the comment under his video on YouTube. Underrated spiritual master. So he's studied from the University of Cambridge, England. He looks like my neighbor Ian. Oh my God. The one who used to come and play cricket with us in our childhood. He was tall, fair, but the features of Sir Peter Russell are the same as Ian's. Okay, so from science to, I wanted to buy his book actually, but I didn't. Peter Russell, Sir Peter Russell, his book, you can see if scientists are having problems. Here he is. I've just searched him out. From Science to God. I just read a piece, a sample, and didn't buy it. Very bad of me. So you can please subscribe to him, check out his videos. There's also Peter Russell, a poet, and but this one, Sir Peter Russell's. You can check. You can also check him on YouTube. Education, University of Cambridge. From Science to God. So what is this God we talk about? Peter Russell will tell you. Scientists, thank God for him. You know, some scientists, you see, they don't realize that it is not the mind's eye. The mind's eye, who has written this? As a thousand eyes, the stars, when love is done, the stars have 1,000. What is it in the mind poem? Oh, who wrote this poem? Don't tell me William Blake. I'll scream like Mummy. The night, sorry, it's the night. Goodreads, thank you. It's no, it's not William Blake, but it has a William here. So. Francis William Bordelin, I think. I may have mispronounced his last name. Sorry about that. The night has 1,000 eyes, the day but one. What is this one eye? Okay, the night has 1,000 eyes and the day but one. Yet the light of the bright world dies with the dying sun. The mind has 1,000 eyes and the heart but one. Yet the light of a whole life dies when love is done. Francis William Bordelin. Bordelin. I think I will pronounce it in my English, terrible English way. So, this one eye of the heart, and in the sky the sun, right? Scientists take it from 1,000 eyes, thoughts, the mind, but we take it from the heart, from this pure awareness. And since this is absolute, scientists cannot find it. Sorry, work is going on upstairs. So if you can hear the sound, I apologize for that. I can do nothing. I wish one day the scientists will come around. Coming around again, coming around again. Mommy breezes, Daddy pleases. Song. Okay, so I have quite a work to do for the Shias also to help them see What is this? How we have been deceived. How you see the great Najl Balagha written by, they say written by Imam Ali, compiled by Razi, okay, and so he's written, Imam Ali has written, and they must have stole it from the idol worshippers. Their books were burnt or destroyed completely. It's very, very sad. So taking my religion was very, very sad. I couldn't see God. I couldn't come to that God that Imam Ali had such knowledge and was trying to tell us. When I was sincere, I became sincere, I think, in my search. Even then I couldn't find, I used to get stuck. Like, who is God? What is this? Reading Imam Ali's Najl Balagha, I would get overwhelmed. I was stuck on I wouldn't go to the letters in sermons too much. Just here and there sayings, O Kumail, how I'd love to meet them. Those who do not sell their knowledge for worldly, and exploit religion, sell their knowledge, make people feel like sinners, right? And then take alms out of their wealth for them and pray for them. Surely your prayer is a source of security and peace for them. So wouldn't you get angry when you find out that your imam stole, exploited us, deceived us? Yeah, I get very, very hurt, very angry. But is my sword out? No, my sword is not out. Maybe the tongue sword may be out. And what would happen to me? I'd be executed. Excuse me. I found Jiddu Krishnamurti before Muji, finding Mujiji, and Rupert Spira later on, just recently, a year or so it's been. And another one, Bert Harding. Bert Harding. Come, come, come. Like when I think of Imam Ali and what they have done. Muhammad and Ali, Ali and Muhammad. Shall I go 12 times? Because we have 12 Imams, we Shias, and every Muhammad and every Ali, what they did to us. Come, come, let's away to prison. Shakespeare, King Lear. When thou ask for forgiveness, come, come, let's away to prison. King Lear, Where is it? What's this? Okay, so I'm reading from Come, let's away to prison. We two alone will sing like birds. I, the cage, when thou ask for forgiveness. I'll kneel down and ask of thee forgiveness. So I've just got this from a website here, enotes.com. Where's the whole one? Anyways, we will not go there either. Please, this is about you all. We should come together and set ourselves free, discover what is the truth. Hindus have a spiritually rich treasure, but still we don't know, right? We don't know who Radharani is, who Krishna is. Maybe those ancient people, they discovered it. They were serious. Now we have this modern world. In this modern world, it is very, very difficult to sit and contemplate. We have bills to pay. We have work to do. We have duties. It's a fast world. We have the capital system. We have an economy. So much to do, so much. Technological advancements have taken place. So here I am, really. I have these addictions. And you will say that I'm preaching, but that's not my intention. And if I make any unintentional mistakes, like Muhammad in Surah Azab, we are told, I take, but I'm not the one telling you to follow me. I want you to be free. I'm not telling you to praise me, follow me, say Radhe Radhe, Kaho Radhe Radhe. It would be unfair, unjust of me to do that. You discover yourself. Hindus have also been seekers. They have questioned Sri Krishna. That's what I learned from Sadhguru. If I may mention him here, my target. You see? So let's search and find, if anything we find, or if we find the absolute. Hello, absolute. So scientists, now you are my target. How can the evidence of that which depends on you? It is dependent on you. Imam Hussain says it. Okay, but you know, so I found out that they had stolen from Greeks and all this, and idol worshippers. So scattered all, I'm trying to find the pieces, gather them together. So how can the evidence of proof of you be given by something which is dependent on you for its existence? Signs are there, right? So another thing is can the science can only lead us, point us to this existence which exists without being born and dying. So this existence which is, we will die, but this which we have found right now is eternal. We will leave the body. So scientists cannot find that absolute self which is here, going through the mind. Concepts, ideas, material realm. And I really shocked myself that day by saying that how can numbers be infinite when they start from a zero? You know, so they have to come back to zero logically. Maybe something has started infinity, but if this zero has started one and two and three and four, sorry, I'm moving, so it's making the sound. Um, shouldn't the numbers come back from some infinite place? But numbers go into infinity. They started with one, or did they start? Someone gave us a zero, or did they give us a zero, or did they discover? Where do numbers start from? Nothingness. So I still have to figure that out. I was very, very shocked. Like it doesn't fit my logic. It doesn't fit this premise that if numbers start with zero, then they should come back to zero. How infinite are they? They are finite. Infinity would mean that what is this infinity, right? So if anyone has commented here, time and again, let me check any, no one is here. The self-discovery, life. Sorry, my other channel, you're missing this. So what is infinity? What is infinity? Infinite. Infinite, we used to say I think we used to say infinite in Karachi American School, I'm not sure. Infinite is American, limitless or endless, in space, okay, in space, extent or size, impossible to measure or calculate. But remember, this infinite thing is not eternal. It started somewhere, right? Limitless or endless? Endless in space. Extent or size, impossible to measure or calculate. Oh, so it started somewhere like love started somewhere. And what happened to it? Is that a good example? It's boundless, it's limitless. The more you give, it doesn't lessen, right? these feelings. Only desire, when I read about that, whether it was Hume or in my philosophy class or in St. Joseph's College, BA, part 1, I think. So the utility, then the desire decreases. You take one bite of the ice cream, then the second. This desire decreases. But love, when you give, it doesn't decrease in you, right? So the starting point, where was it? For numbers, it was 0. And who gave us a 0? Indians say they did a 0 discovery. Who, how did they come? India? Mathematician Brahmagupta. Brahmagupta, the first modern equivalent of numeral 0, comes from a Hindu astronomer and mathematician Brahmagupta in 628. India's BBC.com, India's impressive concept about nothing. And this is the one I read before, is from Orchids International School.com website. He also wrote standard rules for reaching 0 through addition and subtraction and the results of operations that include the digit. 0 and its operations are first defined by Hindu astronomer and mathematician Brahmagupta in 628. Livescience.com. So you can see, there's a YouTube video here. What is the origin of 0 in India? Wikipedia. Let's see Wikipedia. 0 is a number and the numerical digit used to represent that number in numerals. So 0. So what Anna says, I'll go to Facebook now. I had this book long time ago. I had to leave Karachi in a hurry for my passport renewal and come to Dubai. So my book was left there when I told my brother to search for it. He couldn't find it. So I had to buy it online. And I've shared some posts here on my Facebook about this. See, Anna, Mr. God was quite empty. This is from Mr. God, this is Finn. I hope I'm not. Anyways, for education purpose, I had to buy this book again online. Anna's misery was for others. They just could not see the beauty of that broken iron stump. Reminds me of standing there above Mr. Sa's flat. And I broke, you know that water that goes down when you even clean, they have this pipe there, this kind of, what do you call it? round, no, like a cylinder thing, something like that. My English is really terrible. Okay, so here we have Anna's, Mr. God, this is Anna. Now, Mr. God was a bit different from a flower. A flower that didn't want the yellow light was called yellow by us because that is what we saw. You couldn't say the same thing about Mr. God. Mr. God wanted everything, so he didn't reflect anything back. Now, if Mr. God didn't reflect anything back, we couldn't possibly see him, could we? So as far as we were concerned, so far as we were able to understand what Mr. God was, we simply had to admit that Mr. God was quite empty. Not empty because there was truly nothing there, but empty because he accepted everything, because he wanted everything and did not reflect anything back. Of course, you could cheat if you wanted to, and you would wear your bit of colored glass marked Mr. God is loving, or the bit marked Mr. God is kind. But then, of course, you would miss the whole nature of Mr. God. Just imagine what kind of an object Mr. God must be if he accepts everything, if he reflects absolutely nothing back. This, said Anna, is being a real God. And I can't read here because my name is. This is what we were being asked to do. Throw away our pieces of colored glass and see clearly. So, Mr. God, be like Mr. God. Reading from Mr. God, this is Anna. The whole point of being alive was to be like Mr. God. And then you couldn't help but be good and kind and loving, could you? If you get like Mr. God, you don't know you are. You don't know who you are or you are. You don't know you are. And you don't know you are. Are what? I questioned. Good and kind and loving. This last comment was delivered in a throwaway tone of voice, as if it were insignificant and irrelevant. I knew this one of old. So another paragraph. Mr. God most certainly enjoyed it, but then Mr. God didn't at all mind making himself small. So I just skip some here. After all, Mr. God did not have only one point of view, but an infinity of viewing points. And the whole purpose of living was to be like Mr. God. So I had to search, like I found this infinity of viewing points. And the whole purpose of living was to be like Mr. God. So I had to find it in this book. Trying to figure it out. So far as Anna was concerned, being good, being generous, being kind, praying, and all kind of stuff had very little to do with Mr. God. They were in, this, and they were in, not illusion, but okay. No, that page I have not shared here. Illusion, but Mr. God is empty, simply goes against the grain. It stands to reason that Mr. God is full, full of knowing, full of love, full of compassion. You name it, and he's full of it. Why God is like some gigantic Christmas stocking full of good presents, inexhaustible, showering untold and unnumbered presents upon his children. Damnation, of course, he's full. That's what I was taught, and that's how it was. Or was it? I got no more from Anna that day or for several days after. I stewed in my own juice. The idea that Mr. God was empty milled around in my brain. Of course, it was ridiculous, but it just stuck there as a picture formed in my mind. I got more and more embarrassed and more ashamed. I hadn't seen this picture with such clarity before. But there he was, Mr. God, all dressed up in a dress suit, top hat and a wand, producing rabbits out of a hat. You put up your hand and ask for a motor car, 1,000 pounds, or what you will, and Mr. God waved his magic wand, and out it all came. In the end, I saw my picture of Mr. God, a kindly, benevolent, and bewhiskered magician. A few days later, after a lot of wondering, how came this idea that Mr. God was quite empty, I asked the question that had puzzled me for days. So Finn is asking Anna. Titch, Finn calls Anna Titch. Titch, what's with this Mr. God being empty stuff? So where does she reply now? Various bits of glass labeled good. Okay, I don't know. So I'll have to go to the book. What's this with Mr. God being empty? Titch, Anna. So I have to search in the book and I can pause. I can even pause here, I think. Right? So I'll pause my live stream. Okay, I found it here. Um, Mr. God, this is Anna continuing from this book by Finn. So, Titch, what's with this, Mr. God being empty stuff? She turned to me eagerly. I distinctly got the impression that she had waited for this question for days, but could do nothing until I had seen my picture of Mr. God, the great magician, when the world went all red through the bit of glass and the color from the flower. I remembered that all right. And he goes on. Uh, okay, I'm going to skip some. Oh, wait a minute. I remembered that all right. We had talked about transmitted light and reflected light. That light took on the color of the glass through which it was transmitted. That the color of the yellow flower was due to reflected light. We had seen the colors of the spectrum with the aid of a prism. We had looked at Newton's colored spinning disk and had mixed all the colors of the spectrum back to white again. I'd explained that the yellow flower absorbed all the colors of the spectrum with the exception of yellow, which was reflected back to the viewer. Excuse me. Anna had digested this bit of information for a while and then had come back with, "Oh, yellow is the bit it don't want." And after a little pause, "So its real color is all the bits it do want." I couldn't argue with this since I couldn't be sure. What the heck a flower would want anyway? All these bits of information had been taken in, mixed with various bits of colored glass, shaken well, and worked into her particular framework. It seemed that each and every individual was issued at birth with various bits of glass labeled good, bad, nasty, etc., etc. People got into the habit of slipping these bits of glass over their inward eye and seeing things according to the color and label of the glass. This we did, I was given to understand, in order to justify our inner convictions. Now, Mr. God was a bit different from a flower. A flower that didn't want the yellow light was called yellow by us because that is what we saw. We couldn't say the same thing about Mr. God. Mr. God wanted everything, so he didn't reflect anything back. Now, if Mr. God didn't reflect anything back, we couldn't possibly see him, could we? Repeating. Now, if Mr. God didn't reflect anything back, we couldn't possibly see him, could we? All those religion stuff that you can't see God, it's haram, forbidden. The mountain crumbled and came down, all this, you know. You don't have to be scared. Anna is explaining to us in Mr. God, this is Anna, you know. Oh, how the mountain stuff, that lightning struck, or if I show you why Moses' people want to see me, I cannot be seen. Why are you striking the people? what? It's haram, haram, haram. You know, in Surah Baqarah, I think, in the Quran, and even in the Moses' laws, like, thou shalt not make an image of God. Thou shalt not make idols. So sorry, Jews, Christians, Abrahamic religions. This goes on. This goes on. God gets really angry when you ask him, when you, but we want to see you. Anna just told us in such a, like she didn't, this God is not scary. You see, so you can then, what can you do? Search God out for yourselves. So where was I now? I think I missed it. If you get like Mr. God, you don't know you are, do you? So now I'm searching. What's this with Mr. God being empty stuff? The jargon of today merely a spin-off. This sort of thing was just playing it safe, and Anna was going to have none of it. No, religion was all about being like Mr. God, and it was here that things could get a little tough. The instructions weren't to be good and kind and loving, etc. Did I read this? Or what? Uh, okay, I'm confused now. Where am I? The instructions weren't to be good and kind and loving and all this. If you get like Mr. God, you don't know who you are, do you? Or what, I question, good, kind, and loving. This last comment was delivered in a throwaway. I read this. Okay, Titch, what's all this goodness and kindness and loving lark then? Well, and the tone of her voice slid down and the roller coaster of excitement. Slid down the roller coaster of excitement, shot up the other side and took off. Well, if you think you are, you ain't. If you think you are, you ain't. So these thoughts, you see, thoughts are not true. If you think you are, you ain't. Can't find its proper other place that makes for loneliness. Well, if you think you are, you ain't. So now where have I? Oh, I should be on this book. And oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I was on Facebook. Okay, so starting from here, Mr. God. Now, Mr. God was a bit different from a flower. So this bit of flower that didn't want yellow, we saw the yellow, explaining what Anna's trying to tell us, right? But Mr. God was. So as far as we were concerned, so far as we were able to understand what Mr. God was, we simply had to admit that Mr. God was quite empty. Not empty because there was truly nothing there, but empty because he accepted everything, because he wanted everything, and did not reflect anything back. So I read this, and of course you could cheat if you want to. You could wear your bit of colored glass marked Mr. God is loving, or the bit marked Mr. God is kind. Excuse me. Right? And then of course you would miss the whole nature of Mr. God. Just imagine what kind of an object Mr. God must be if he accepts everything. If he's not an object then. If he reflects absolutely nothing back. This, said Anna, is being a real God. This is what we were being asked to do, throw away our pieces of colored glass and see clearly. The fact that old Nick is Satan, fact that old Nick was busy turning them out by the million made things a bit difficult at times. But that was the way things were. Sometimes, said Anna, growed up, meaning grown-ups, make kids, growed-ups make kids have bit of glasses. Why would they want to do that? I asked. So they can make the kids do something they want them to. You mean frighten them? Yes, to do something. Like God will punish you if you don't eat up your prunes. Yes, like that. But Mr. God don't care if you don't like prunes, do he? I guess not. So you see this punishment's coming because Moses' people wanted to see God. All you had to do was explain it to us like Anna explains it in this book. Mr. God, this is Anna. Why we cannot see God is because he doesn't. How do we see the object? Scientists will tell you, right? Even Sadhguru. And even from Imam Jafar Sadiq, how light reflects from the objects. We don't absorb or, however it's explained scientifically. Even Imam Sajjad, Imam Sadiq, not Imam Sajjad, our sixth Imam, Shias. This in this book, the great scientists. So this is all we have to do to explain it to the scientists. So simple. And I got this book, I think in 1988 or 87. I found this book. This is it. So shall I repeat it for the scientists? So as far as we were concerned, so far as we were able to understand what Mr. God was, we simply had to admit that Mr. God was quite empty. Not empty because there was truly nothing there, but empty because he accepted everything, because he wanted everything and did not reflect anything back. So, Mr. God is not an object. Another thing here from Mr. God, this is Anna, about fear. You see, I found this. Missable. She didn't need to think about the answer to my question. How come you haven't got bits of glass? She had it ready for a long time, simply waiting for the right moment to deliver it. Oh, 'cause I ain't frightened. Okay, so now the azan has started. I'm going to pause this and resume my live stream. Okay, the azan has stopped and I'm resuming. So this is the book. If you want to buy from here, you can buy it. Where am I now? So she didn't need to think about the answer to my question. How come you haven't got bits of glass? She'd had it ready for a long time. Let me see if yeah, it's on. Hello, how are you? Any comments here? Please feel free to comment. I've bought this book, you can buy it. I'm going to the chapter. Where is it? I was reading. Well, if they give me copyrights infringement, I've already bought this book. Which chapter is this? Let me see. Oh, God. Sorry, it has to be like this. Chapter 3. Searching. Mr. God was quite empty. So, Mr. God was quite empty, not empty because there was truly nothing there, but empty because he accepted everything, because he wanted everything, and did not reflect anything back. For academic purposes, I'm sharing this with you, the book I've bought from Google now, because the one I bought is in Karachi, and I've lost it. Like God will punish you and all. So, anyhow, this is, I have to search, where am I? Oops. So now continuing from this book, so what is this fear? Because we are something. We think we are, or that thing, that part of where Anna says, She didn't need to think about the answer to my question. How come you haven't got bits of glass? She'd had it ready for a long time, simply waiting for the right moment to deliver it. She didn't make a fuss about delivering it either. Oh, 'cause I ain't frightened. Now that's probably the most missable sentence that can be uttered. Missable because that's what it's all about. Missable because it is too damned expensive. Missable because the price of not being frightened is trust. Think about it. The price of not being frightened is trust. Trusting in God. You know, there are these Baha'is also, they say that one should have the freedom to seek out truth on their own. So whoever goes with that, I'm much grateful to them. We should find our truth ourselves. We should find the truth or our truth ourselves. Discover for ourselves. Trust, and what a word that is. Define it how you like, and I'll bet you'll miss the main point. It's more than confidence, more than security. It doesn't belong to ignorance, or for that matter, to knowledge either. It is simply the ability to move out of the I'm the center of all things and to let something or someone take over. And as for Anna, she had simply moved out and let Mr. God move in. I'd known about this for a long time. So this is what it is. What else can I read to you here? This is my favorite, one of my favorite books. So infinity of, God has an infinity of points to view. We've got to answer Mr. God's questions all by ourselves. And Anna says here, that I have got to be responsible. I suggested, yes, responsible. That's Finn, and Anna says, yes, responsible. Yes, I see, you mean we've got to bear all the weight like those other triangles do. Yes, of the things I've done and the things I've thought. Each word was underlined with a nod of satisfaction. She left me in the silence of her full stop. And I leave you in the silence of this full stop for now, and we'll come back later. Shall I do this? Thank you so much. So